Hello, this is Anna Amelia from Northeast Animal Rights. Just showing you the banner so you can see it properly this time. I'm doing another one of the series of interviews for Saturday Spotlight. We're very lucky to have Barbara Helen with us today. Barbara Helen is a very good and high-profile animal rights activist, but also she's a fantastic musician and songwriter. Okay, so good morning to you, Barbara.
Oh, good morning. What a lovely introduction.
So if you don't mind, I'll just go straight into the questions. Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, when did you become vegan? How did it happen? Was it overnight or was it a gradual process?
Right, okay. 8.5 years, just about. It was 1st of June that I became vegan. And I was vegetarian. And it's surprising how much everything has moved on online, social media in the last 8 years. Because I thought being vegetarian was okay. I didn't know an awful lot about vegans. And I happened to catch a programme called Jimmy and the Giant Supermarket, Dairy. It was entitled Dairy. And they used to show the programme on YouTube, but I think they might have cut it because it's too graphic, in inverted commas. And it showed sort of the truth behind dairy. These beautiful Guernsey calves, male calves, and it literally showed them being shot at a day old, 3 of them, because they were males. And my jaw was on the floor. I was like, no. And it was like this light bulb moment of, oh my God. And I vowed at that moment that for those little calves that I'd be vegan. And I just started to look for more information. And, I announced to my husband, I said, that's it, I'm vegan, that's it, I'm not having any milk, any dairy, anything. And that was me, literally overnight. I think, sort of bit by bit I'd been more interested and more aware, but that was my light bulb moment about 8.5 years ago, and there's been no turning back, obviously.
So is your husband vegan as well?
He is now, yeah.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, good.
Initially, I mean, because I enjoy cooking, I really do. I enjoy cooking, I enjoy baking, and Leslie's really good at clearing up afterwards. So it's a really good balance, And so mainly he was eating vegan and he loving everything that he ate. And I don't know. He just quietly one day said, that that's it. I'm not going to sort of eat anything that that's alive anymore. That was alive. Yeah, and when we meet people, and they say, "Oh, are you vegan too?" And he says, "Yes," and I think, "Oh, I feel really proud of him." He just just no big announcement, just sort of like, "Yeah, that's it." Yeah, stepped over the line. Yeah.
So, what do you think was the hardest part of becoming a vegan?
The hardest part is you walk through that door and you think into that new beautiful land of I'm vegan, and it's sort of like this, this posters where you see the rainbow and the lambs playing with the lions, and you've got this, and then boom, the veils fall, and you think, oh, hang on, it's a lot different to being vegetarian. The way people respond, the way that people don't understand, and so other people sort of block to being vegan, I think is the worst. The sort of most difficult part about being vegan is other people who haven't got that awareness, living in a world that is non-vegan, basically. It is very difficult, because at first I thought, yippee, I'm vegan, yay, I'm going to change the world. Everybody I talk to just want to change, once they see what I've seen. And it wasn't like that at all. It was, and everything, your world changes overnight. Everywhere you go looks different, smells different. Every advert you see, you're walking about in this land that just seems totally crazy to you, and it's like the Matrix. If you've ever watched the Matrix, very much like that. You think, wake up. Adverts on the telly, everything's so normalised. And that is the hardest thing, being vegan in a non-vegan world, as far as I'm concerned, anyway.
Yeah. Where do you think the animal rights movement has made its biggest progress in recent years? And which area of animal rights frustrates you the most? For example, is it vivisection or animal agriculture? what's the part which kind of like really just, you know, frustrates you?
The part that frustrates me with animal rights, sorry, not with animal rights, with the way things are, is it's purely speciesism. You know, it's the why love one and eat another.
Yeah.
Why are we sort of like, oh, yummy turkey, oh, yuck, Yulin, you know? So that unawareness, that lack of grasp of this issue of speciesism, and the issue of ownership of animals, and it rather than someone, you know, something rather than someone. And was the first part of the question where I think animal rights has made the most
the biggest progress, the greatest progress in recent years?
Well, obviously, it's my opinion, and you know, sort of, it changes every day because you see something different, you become more aware. I think getting it out there, social media, you're getting good articles now in papers like The Guardian, you're getting supermarkets who are sort of like Asda now, you know, we're going to have a full of our vegan food and things, you know, sort of, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because you think, is it going to be like all these vegans wandering up and down the aisle, which is fantastic, but is it like meat eaters going like that, you know, oh, get away with a cross? But I think social media, definitely, because it's like, if you've not, you cannot help but be aware. It's there, the information is there. It's if you choose to look away from it. You know, it's great to say to people, you know, this is the documentary you can watch for sort of animal rights, for speciesism, for health, for environment. It's all out there. Every bit of information you need is out there. So I think that's fantastic. And I think it's fantastic that more people, more individuals are recognising that sort of old saying, be the change you want to see. And I'm very much a believer in that, because the change starts here. With one small step, one small action that you make. And I remember going to see Joey Carb's Strong Talk at an event in Middlesbrough, and it was brilliant, because he summed it up. He said, for somebody to become 100% vegan, you know, you're not going to just have one conversation with them and it's going to be bing. For the majority of people, it might just be 0.5%, 1%. You know, just that little seed gets planted and another little seed, and then hopefully eventually, you know, they come round to the, you know, to the awareness and sort of like evolve or change appropriately. And that's sort of a big change in the movement. I think that every little advert, every T-shirt you wear, every piece of jewellery you wear, everything you eat, everything you pick up in a supermarket, for example. I sort of had a huge trolley in Asda the other day because I haven't been to the supermarket for ages. And there was no toilet rolls, but I managed to get everything else. And these sort of vegan sausages were going through that I hadn't tried before, the Heck ones. And the woman on the till says, "Oh, they look unusual." And I said, "Oh yes, you know, plant-based, la-di-da." And you know, sort of, and I said, "In fact, everything in this trolley is vegan." And she says, "Oh, what about your flora?" And I said, "No, actually, it's vegan," you know, and showed her the sign on it. I thought, oh, you know, and I said, "So there you go, great shop, isn't it?" You know, and I thought, yeah, so just every little thing you do, everywhere you go, there's an opportunity to sort of promote veganism and just raise awareness. So that's a great thing in the animal rights movement, that we can all be that change, live that change, do our little bit, you know, no matter how small you might think it is. I've had people coming up to me and say, "Oh, you know, it's starting to sink in what you said. I think I'll try an oat milk latte today." You know. So
but it is, I mean, you're right, it's kind of being the role model, isn't it? It's about being the kind of vegan that you want people to kind of be able to come and talk to. I mean, Joey Carbstrong is a good example of, you know, when we're at the stall, I mean, obviously we can't do the stalls at the moment, but I've said to people that, you know, you might get somebody who comes along who's quite aggressive and quite sort of or defensive, you know, but that could be the first time they've ever approached it. But the fact that they're coming up to you is a good thing. And then maybe you have somebody else who's kind of like sort of been looking into it and coming up to talk to you, and then they're at the back end of their journey and they just need that little bit of conviction. And they, you know, so everybody's at different sort of like stages of the little journey, and you don't know what part you're playing in it.
You're 100% right there. I love that saying, we are all ripening fruits on the same vine. That's a really nice saying.
Yes,
but you're so right. And like, be the vegan you would like to meet. And I've just sent off a T-shirt from Viva la Vegan because they had on offer an offer with the new baby River Phoenix being born.
Oh yeah,
and it's got that lovely River Phoenix quote on, you know, run to the rescue with love and peace will follow. And I've sent off for that, so I can't wait for it to come. And I think, yeah, that is so true. If I always think about being vegan as like entering this grief process. You know, you sort of thrust into this grief process like of anger, denial, you can't believe people can't do it, you're grieving, you know, sort of it's sad, you're depressed, and going around in a grief circle and round and round. And I think we all go through different stages. I've been angry, I've been sort of like frustrated and felt helpless and everything. But at the end of the day, I think you start to realise that be that beacon of light, be that love. You know, when people are coming up to you and sort of like, nah, you know, it's and be, you know, what about the plants and things like that. You know, don't respond with anger. You know, try and, because there is a saying that goes, you know, once you know you're telling the truth, there's no need to shout about your truth. You know your truth, and people know when you know your truth. You know, if you are saying this thing from the heart, you know, your truth, and believing it 100%, which obviously, you know, if you're vegan, you do. There is no argument really. It's just like, you know, discussing it with somebody. They have their opinion from where they are, you know, and that's where they are. You know, you cannot change somebody, but you can give them, you know, that inspiration and the information to help them.
I think, I mean, that's one of the things which, like with our group, I mean, the T-shirt I've got today, for example, it's a Viva one. I don't, you can't really say it. It says, vegan is a state of kind, right? And that's kind of the sort of like approach I want to take, because, you know, there's times for shouting protests and demos and things, but I think with outreach, it's much more about being approachable, kind of like being a smiley person, no matter what they come back at you with. Like you said, you know, the kind of the vegan bingo they play with you all the time. It's just about, you know, you're right, you know, you're on the right side of history, and you know that at some point they might get it. Other times they might just completely not, but they might get it, you know. So you're kind of like working with them to keep on. If you're shouting or being rude to them, they're going to just walk away, and you've totally lost your opportunity.
Yeah, and it's confirmed everything they ever thought about vegan.
Exactly.
And I think you're 100% right there. And at the end of the day, it's just always coming back to, this is for the animals. It's not for me to win an argument. It's not for my ego. It's not because I'm better than anybody else. It's for the animals. And that's what I try and come back to always. If sort of, you know, you get that into that sort of tangle, and you think, this isn't about me winning an argument. This is for the animals.
So when did you first realise that you could advocate for animals through your music? What process do you go through when you get an idea for a song, and what drives you when you're writing?
Well, I've always, from being very small, written poems, then picked up a guitar, written songs, love singing, just part of who I am. And it's like when some people come up to me and say, "Oh, are you still doing your music?" And you say, "Yeah." It's like I'm still breathing. You know, it's like, no, not doing
just a fad.
So it is like if you're an artist or a poet, it's part of who you are. You don't retire. You don't, you know, you just, sometimes you know, sort of like it ebbs and flows, the creativity. It's not something I'm working at as a formula. So for me, initially, I was, songwriting was very much about personal relationships, and then started sort of thinking more about the environment. So it was what's going on in my mind, what's going on, and started to write songs about the environment. And then obviously as I became vegan 8 years ago, it was almost like, if you think like when you get this huge feeling, like this sob that wants to come out sometimes, you know, and that's how it very often is with a song, because I see a situation and or I experience a situation, and it's almost like this, oh, you know, and I'll go and pick up my guitar and the song comes out, it writes itself. It's not like I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to write a song today because, you know, I have to get this novel out because of my publisher. I just, you know, it is purely an emotional thing. It keeps me sane. It really, really does. Because it allows me to express that feeling. And that's how I write a song. Sometimes I can be walking along and just this little phrase will come into my head. Like a recent song I wrote, it's all about the animals. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's all about the animals. It just kept going round in my head because I was thinking about the way that a lot of animal rights groups, there's a lot of clashes, there's a lot of sort of arguments, and for one reason or another. And I kept thinking, it's all about the animals. It's not about you, no, and it's not about me, you know. And I came back to that, and that's the song wrote itself. When I got home, and I got the tune and the sort of like the chorus in my mind. And the good thing about having your phone with you is you can sing it into it. Whereas prior to that, I used to have to sort of like sing it over and over again to not forget it. So I can come home and there it is, and then I can work on it a little bit and then put it aside. I don't try and force it. If nothing else is coming, I just think, all right. And then I'll wake up in the middle of the night, you know, and something else will come into mind, because it's almost like fermenting. You know, I've started on this song and I'm fermenting, and out it comes. So yeah, so that's how I write my songs. But it's usually an personal experience I've had, something I've seen, like one of the environmental songs. I was walking through Middlesbrough, and it was a day when I was attending an AVQ, and there was white plastic bag floating in a tree, flapping in a tree. And I thought, oh, it's like surrender, a white flag, surrender from nature. And I wrote the song War Against Nature, you know, and you know, just little things like that. It's songwriting very often is like you have this like net on your head, and something will sort of like come along and you capture it and bring it in. Things can float by, and I sometimes think, oh, if I hadn't have captured that, it would never have been a song. So it's always a good idea to sort of like just store that sort of thought, that phrase, and because it helps then to get out that emotion. And I think as being a vegan and being a vegan activist, it pays a great toll on your mental and physical health. Having to see things, being the glass walls, seeing things that other people deny and won't see, in order to sort of like, as I say, be the glass walls for them. And nobody enjoys seeing that. Nobody wants to see that. And when you do it, it does, you know, it's like, it's there in your mind forever. You know, that image is there in your mind forever. So it's finding a way of dealing with it. And that's why it's so good to be with your vegan family, you know, sort of talk about how you feel, and to express it in whatever way you can, be it, you know, sort of chalking, or sort of drawing, or you know, any way. If you can, I think if you can sort of take that and make it in a creative way, to sort of push it back out there in a creative way, it's a very positive thing to do. And it's the only way I feel that you can cope sometimes and remain sane, because veganism, activism can really wear you down because of everything you're up against and everything you have to witness. And so you have to ensure that you nurture yourself, that you sort of like turn that into a positive in whatever way you possibly can, and talk to people who understand.
Yeah, I think I mean, you're right about the mental health side of it. It's something which is overlooked in animal rights. Because you're right. I mean, we go out there. We do things like the saves, and they're not pleasant, but we do them because we know we can speak with conviction. The people who come to the stores or ask you questions about being vegan, you can sort of dispel any of the myths they have about, cows going singing and skipping to the deaths. But it is something which you really need to be careful about, because I think when I was talking to Julie Gallatley and Peter Egan, they both said it's like compassion fatigue. You just get so sort of like worn down with it all. But I think you're right. It's about talking, about trying to look at the positive side of it, and talking to people, because they'll probably be thinking the same thing as you, and looking after each other, making sure you've got a good group of people you can talk to and support you as well, because
that is so important. Yeah. And compassion fatigue. Yeah, it's. I think be kind to yourself and recognise, when you've done as much as you can. It could be one save a year, it could be some people, it depends on your personality as a person, your individuality, what you do. There is no hierarchy. There is no sort of like, oh, look at all that they're doing. All that they're doing, your sort of one vigil is just as good as as much as you can do. Do what you can do, because it is painful, it is hard, and it's like you cannot be a good activist, a good advocate if you don't look after yourself.
So you've sent us very kindly, thank you, 3 songs we're going to play at the same time this interview is aired. So if I can you talk me through what you were thinking about when you wrote them? The first one is I Saw You.
Yes, well, I Saw You. It was after I've been to a vigil, an animal save vigil at Linden Foods, which is a regular one. Hasn't been obviously recently because of the restrictions. And it's about a 3-hour round journey for me, and getting there quite early. So it's one I attend when I can, and it was sort of like one of those sob moments when I got home. It's like look into the eyes, apologise. I saw you today, and it's sort of like expressing how I saw you. I looked into your eyes. I saw you. You were there. You were someone. For that moment, everybody that was there, we saw you, and that's it's like expressing the love for that non-human animal who is going to slaughter, and one of the choruses, our hearts broke today, and if you all knew what the innocents went through, you'd feel the same way. And it's and that's what it's about. It's like standing outside the slaughterhouse, seeing the animals go to their deaths, be they organic or farm fed or grass fed or whatever. They all go through them same gates, and there is no happy ending. But it's I Saw You, and I feel emotional every time I sing it, and it's been such a positive song in a lot of ways, because the feedback I've had is like, oh, that just expresses exactly how I felt. And that's another good thing about my songwriting. I feel that fellow vegans, activists can come up to me and say, I just felt like that. You've summed it up. And it's like, we all feel the same, and that is such a positive thing. So I Saw You is about looking into the eyes of a cow going to slaughter.
When I was looking at the lyrics as well, I mean, it's spot on. It is how you feel when you're standing at a vigil. It's quite raw, isn't it? It's quite raw and very emotional.
It is.
So what about Lovolution then?
Oh, Lovolution. That's a positive song. It's like environmentally thinking about, the clouds are gathering and there's a mountain to climb. But put your hand in mine together, we'll start a Lovolution. Let's love is the answer. And it was like, the fires are raging, the rivers are rising, the ice caps are sort of like melting, but together we can start a love-olution, love is the answer. And it's the corniest phrase, but it's the truest phrase. Everything comes down to love, be it self-love, love of animals, love of the earth, the planet, and a love-olution, a revolution of love. That's what that was about. So it's a positive call to arms.
It's you're right the way it is. I mean, when we have these conversations, have people who are religious speakers who come up to the stall, and I've also done some interviews which I'm going to be posting probably, I think it's next week, some interviews with high profile Christian vegans, because and then I've got down the line, I've got a couple of I've got a Hindu vegan as well, Dina Mahern. She's agreed to do one, because from my point of view, religion is about love, should be about love, and so is veganism. So why aren't people who follow faiths, why aren't they all vegan? So it's kind of like exploring the tensions within the religions. But you're right, it is essentially, it's about love.
Yeah, and I have a lovely vegan friend who he's Christian, and he puts Christian posts on about promoting veganism and quotes from the Bible, sort of for people who are sort of like quoting from the Bible, perhaps to justify eating animals, like we have dominion and things like that.
Is this Doug by any chance?
Yes.
Yes. Well, he was one of the ones I interviewed.
Oh, I am pleased. Yeah, because I do like reading his posts and seeing the pictures. And Doug's a lovely guy. I didn't want to mention his name because I didn't feel,
No. It's
when you throw him in the deep end there. Yeah. Oh, I am so pleased because he's a lovely guy, and it must be extremely difficult for him because he is a strong believer, and he must be very frustrating to sort of like know that the basic message is love, but it's been distorted and confused and ignored. So
the final song you've given us is all about the animals, and you touched on it earlier on about the clashes and the groups, and kind of fundamentally bringing back to being about the animals.
And that basically that is, it's like everything comes back down to it's all about the animals. Let's just, when you're speaking with somebody, always remind them and remind yourself, that it is all about the animals. And I find it heartbreaking to see. It's almost like if somebody wanted to destroy the animal rights movement, they just throw that little grenade in to sort of like split everybody up into little fractions. And when we all need to be coming together, I know it's difficult, I know there's no magic answers, and it's a very controversial subject. However, it's like we all have to be in the same stride, and it all has to be about the animals. And there's no perfect way, there's no right way, there's no wrong way, there's no better way. We're all different. We're all, like I say, the ripening fruits on the same vine. We're all, as long as we're all approaching that aim, there are different avenues to it, and within reason, you have to accept, that that's their approach. This is my approach. Some people are very much, oh no, waving banners and showing graphic things is not the way to go. But it might reach some people, whereas, gently talking to somebody and being very kind and very gentle about it might help somebody else. It's when I say help, I mean helping the animals. It's not about helping them. There's nothing wrong. They don't need help, but it is all about the animals. And that's what that was about. There's no beauty in wearing someone else's skin or fur. It's all about the animals, that sort of thing. It's like just recognise sort of what we're doing to the animals.
So how do you feel about the future of the animal rights movement? Do you feel optimistic about it, or do you feel as if there's still so much to be doing?
There's always going to be something to be done. I can only view it from my perspective where I am now, from my little bubble where I am. I'm very optimistic because it brings it back down to what I said at the beginning, really, that the worst thing is to feel powerless in any situation. So give yourself the power by recognizing, you know, that you can be the change you want to see. Because if you look too far ahead at the big picture, it just looks unfathomable. But I've heard people say, oh God, you know, I'm not making a difference, nothing's changing. You look back over the 10 years, things have changed fantastically. I mean, for example, I think probably about 6 years ago, I remember emailing to Marks and Spencer's, we need vegan food in Marks and Spencer's, there's no vegan food. And I don't think my email particularly was the tipping point, but it's like, you know, we now have vegan food in Marks and Spencer's. Well, I like to think that maybe that tiny little, you know, sort of speck of dust, you know, built up to make a huge, great pile. And it's like, yeah, it's just all doing your own little bit every single day and recognising your achievements, recognising that little change that you've made, that little positive change you've made, no matter, you know, thinking, oh, I played a part in that. So yeah, I am very positive about the future of animal rights because of social media, because of people getting out on the streets, and sort of like discussing it. Everybody knows what vegan is now, and if they don't, they can be directed to it quite easily. And so, you know, the difference to that, like when I first saw that mainstream TV program with the dairy calves, you know, that was not available to me online, that information, I don't think, because I wasn't that computer savvy. I don't think I'd even joined Facebook or anything like that then. So yeah, I'm so very positive. Yeah, it's great. There's so many amazing people who I know and who I know of who are really making a huge difference just by believing in what they're doing and getting out and doing it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when you look back sort of in the time I've been vegan, and pretty much the same time as you, it's you know, nobody knew what vegan was in the early days, and you were constantly checking ingredients. There was no vegan sign commonly used, and now it's everywhere. Everybody knows. You'd have to be an alien not to know what a vegan is now, or not have heard the term. So it is, and I think fast forward 10 years time, you know, where we're going to be, it's only going to get better. So
absolutely. And another good thing is like one thing I really enjoy doing is like baking cakes, making food, and sharing that with people who aren't vegan. And it's like, oh my God, this is amazing, give me the recipe. And that has happened so many times, you know, be it like when I was in a work situation or family or friends come round, or I make something for friends, can I have the recipe? And that is just such a simple way of helping people to recognise, oh, I can do this. It's like, what do you eat? You know. But I know it's great to be positive, isn't it? It's good. It's a good feeling, and it's a genuine feeling. I am genuinely positive because, as I say, that grief cycle, you know, mental health. I go up and down. I've been right down on the floor, and you know, I can go from being up there to be right down, and then, you know, just get the toolbox out, ring your friends, you know, get online, chat to somebody, and pull yourself back up again. Definitely.
Yeah, it's been thoroughly delightful. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you this morning, Barbara. So I really do appreciate you giving up your time.
I love what you do, and I appreciate what you do. And it's been great that you've had me perform at some of your festivals, and hopefully in the future I'll do again.
I know. I hope so. We've got ourselves booked up for the Newcastle one, but I know there's no performances there. But I'm hoping to do our festival as a music festival again as soon as the restrictions allow us. I want to get more musicians because I think it's a really good way of reaching people.
It is. It touches the emotions. Yeah.
And they go away and they're singing the songs all the time, and they're kind of, you know, like in the
all about the animals.
Exactly.
Revolution.
Well, so obviously when this interview's posted, we'll be posting the 3 songs you sent over as well.
Oh, brilliant.
We'll put some links on so people can, because obviously you can you know, you can buy the music as well, which is a great way of sort of you know, put it in your car and other people can hear it as well, and these little earworms get in your head, and the, you know, so it's a great way of
I do have I mean, I do have a CD out called Vegan Eyes, and I'm in the midst of making a new one called Vegan Family. I've got all the songs written, but now I've sort of like every penny from every download or every CD I sell, it goes into my little activism fund. So it's like non-profit, and off out, you know, something like petrol money. I am retired. I'm a retired nurse, and it's like petrol money, or something. You know, I'll donate it to a, you know, sort of a vegan charity or something. But it's mainly to fund my activism. I'm not doing it as a commercial project.
No. It's all about the animals.
It is.
Well, thank you very much anyway for joining us today. So this is Barbara Helen, and I'm Anna, sorry, I can't even say my name. I'm Anna Amelia from North East Animal Rights, saying goodbye for now. Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye.
Whoop, hang on.